Hello everybody, so it's been a few days now since I've made my last video, and I just want to continue a little bit on an idea of using these physical properties but with two different emitters. So let's quickly look at what I mean. So we saw in the last lesson we had this sphere, and this sphere was transformed slightly upwards. Remember this one here? And then we've got this dot network. It's going to here, and within here we added the, let me just see if I can get rid of the gravity here. Okay, we had this where we could spit out some particles from here. Now remember that the reason why it's coming out like this is because if I go into my velocity, I can see that I have this different variance on here. I can take this variance off, of course. And let's see, this should just now fill up the sphere. Okay, we added the gravity. Let's get that going. There we go. Happy days. We've now got the gravity going down, and then we added, let's do that correctly, our ground plane. And there we go, the ground plane, and it all just hits there and does absolutely nothing. Brilliant. So now I'm thinking, what can I do in order to get two of these emitters and get them to run slightly differently? So maybe they will go in a slightly different direction with a different velocity, or maybe there'll be a different color, different bounce, etc. So let's take a quick look at, first of all, how to do that and the pitfalls that I found on the way. I had to play with this quite a bit to get it to work. So let's first of all start off with our sphere and our transform. Let's copy this. Okay, and I want to have this one here, I think. Let's remember where this one is, and let's transform this along a little bit there. Okay, and we will, I think, merge this together, and then we'll add this to our pop network. There we go. Okay, now I've got two of them. Let me take this away, and they do exactly the same thing, which is exactly what I would expect. So let's first of all look at how I can maybe separate these two. So let's start, I think, with the colors. Let's have two different colors, and then we can see that we're affecting them differently. So if I go into my dot network and I want to add a pop color, so let me do that. Pop color, there we, oops, I've hit the wrong one. I've hit the drag. Come on, what's going on here? There we go. Color, pop color, there we are. Let's select that one. And we can see that the color is now going to be purple, and it's on both of them. So let's try and change this color, and it changes on both of them. Is there a way that I can separate them? And the answer is no, I don't think I can. So what will I do? Well, one solution I found is to create a group for this one and a group for this one. So let's do that, and we'll do that first of all in our object here. So let's have a look at adding a group, and let me see if maybe I learned to spell it correctly. There we go. And I will call this one, I think, GRP for group box 01. All right. Now I'll make a second one. There we go. And we've got group 2. Okay. Then if I look at them, let's look at them here. I can see here I've got my group 1. Let me see if I can make that bigger. Okay, and group 2. And these are my point information. All right, so let's try that now. It shouldn't have any difference at the moment, but I want to go to my pop, and I want to open this, and I want to now select box 1. Let's see what happens. Hey, now we've got something happening. We've got two different colors. Of course, this is white because it doesn't have any colors selected, so it's just using the default. So let me create another one of these, and this time I'm going to make this onto group 2, and let's change the color to maybe an orange. Okay, now I can see that I'm affecting both of them slightly differently. I want to maybe make something a bit, there we go, red and blue. It's easy to see now. Now I want these to slide down here a little bit, I think, so I'm going to reduce my friction on here. Let's see what we get. Oh, lovely, and now they're mixing together. Happy days. Okay, job done. No. Okay, so let's should we add a bit of bounce? Yes. Yeah, for now maybe not. Let's leave that as it is for now. So next thing I want to do is I want to, in fact let's go back to the bounce. So this time I'm going to go my bounce and I'm going to add some bounce. There we go, and they're both bouncing exactly the same rate. Let's go to bounce 1. It should bounce much higher. There we go, and that goes of course to about the same height as the original position where the particles are created. So let's go back to the beginning there. Now the problem of course is, how do I separate them? Not quite as easy, right? One way to do it though is using a little bit of code. So let's do a pop wrangle. Okay, there we go. And I'm going to use this for the, I think for the bounce. Okay, bounce. Okay, and this time I can create my own piece of information. So I'm going to go to my F for float at bounce. If you're not sure what all of this stuff is here, there are some Vex lessons which I've previously created on some very basic Vex information. But if you have done those lessons and you understand, you'll know exactly that this means float at, and I'm creating a new parameter here, a new variable called bounce. Actually, sorry, not a variable, an attribute. Okay, so it's an attribute called bounce, and I'm going to put equals, and I'm going to make this, let's make this 2. Okay, let's see if anything happens yet. I don't think they will. Oh, there we go. Now it's really kicked off. All right, so what I want to do, in fact, I think, is just to make this affect the second one. So let's have this affected OD box 2, and now look at that, I can see that I've got separate bounces there. Let's make that bounce, I think 1, because that 2 is going a little bit wild. All right, there we go. One of them bounces and one of them doesn't. So you see how now that's only affecting this particular one. So the next thing I want to look at is the velocity. So let's have a look at that. V at V, this is a vector, and I'm creating a attribute called V, which is already pre-programmed in to mean velocity, and I'm going to set this at which direction am I going to go? Let's have this maybe on -4, and maybe have this on 6, and then this one on 0. Let's see what this does. Okay, and hey, it seems to be going correctly. However, it's not being affected by the gravity. Why? I have absolutely no idea. Sorry guys. So I had to try to find a different solution to this. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to comment out this. I don't really need this information. That just means that it ignores this information. I'm now back to where I was previously. And now I'm going to go back here, and instead what I want to do, I think, is to add a wrangle here. And this time I'm going to have an attribute wrangle. There we go. This is going to affect the points, and it's only going to affect them in the second group, which is what I wanted, right? So let's go V, add V. Let's do something similar. Set, I want it to go the other direction, I think. So let's have that -4, 6, and maybe 4. Okay, let's see what that looks like. Okay, enter that information, and nothing's happening. Okay, let me figure out why this isn't really working. And I'm going to go into my pop network and see what's happening with the velocity, I think, in my pop source. All right, here, okay, on my attributes I've got set initial velocity, and I've got it set to 0. What in fact I want to do is I want to inherit this from whatever is coming in here, which is this information here. So let me just put that in as velocity so you know what it is. Okay, now let's try it. There we go. Now we're getting something. Happy days. All right, so we can see now that it's going in a different direction. It's of course turning direction based on the fact that this is sloping this this ground plane. Let me maybe I should change this a little bit. This is going -4. Let's put this on 4. Let's see what that does. Let's see. There we go. Oh, that's cool. And that now bounces around. Now if you're confused why it's bouncing around on this thing here, it's got actually on the plane. Let me make that plane bigger just so you can visualize that better. So I'm going to put that there, and maybe let's make that 60 and 60. Okay, and then we can see that it's now bouncing around on that plane. Alright, now there might be other ways to do this, and I'm certain that there is, so if anybody wants to let me know how they've done it, that would be great. But as far as I know, this was the only way I could figure it out. So sorry guys if I've gone kind of a long way around this, but hopefully this is useful to you. Alright guys, so I'm gonna go, and hope you guys have a great day. Alright, bye bye.